What comes to mind when you hear of someone having a nervous breakdown? Remember the movie Waiting to Exhale from the 90s? A middle-aged woman, she loses it. She finds out that her husband's cheating, so she sets his clothes on fire and his car in their driveway. Then she takes off to a Caribbean island and finds a young boyfriend. This is what I always think of when I think of having a breakdown. It's burn it all to the ground energy. But rarely do we, as responsible women, mothers, providers, just go and blow it all up, even though we sometimes feel like it. We have the weight of the world on our shoulders, and that doesn't leave much room for all of those theatrics or even dream vacation escapes. Today, we're talking about a more realistic version of what often happens: the quiet breakdown. Millions of women are experiencing the quiet breakdown, sometimes without even knowing it or knowing what to do about it. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Bold Life School, the show that empowers you to elevate your life and to step into your full potential. I'm your host, Jameson, and this is where ambition meets authenticity, where you'll find the tools and inspiration to grow, evolve, and thrive. Each week, we dive into powerful topics that challenge the status quo, whether it's to break through limiting beliefs, navigate life's transitions, or embrace the bold moves that push you beyond your comfort zone. Now let's get into today's episode. When we think of a breakdown, we think big and loud, a sudden public collapse, something dramatic, an emotional outburst. Or maybe it's the opposite: cannot get out of bed, totally depressed. Either way, it's a crisis event, right? Something had to have caused it. Something like a divorce, job loss, a major death, or a cancer diagnosis. Worst case scenario, we think having a breakdown means that we need to be committed to a psych ward or a mental facility. But the reality is quite different. A quiet breakdown isn't necessarily dramatic. It doesn't look like falling apart. I'm talking about you, girl, keeping it all together while you suppress what is really going on inside. You're still functioning, still producing, still being relied on, still managing things, but maybe dead inside or a little bit. Your spirit is tired of holding everything together. Worn out, you're fed up, and damn near feel like giving up. If you even had the time, you might wonder, is this all there is? If that's you, nothing has gone wrong. Something in you is finally boiling to the surface and telling the truth. One of the first signs is this: you've been strong for so long that exhaustion feels normal. You don't remember what it feels like to be rested. You just know how to push through, and you feel like you have to. You've built a life that depends on your competence, and your body's adapted by running on low-grade depletion. Another sign: all you want to do is stay home in your pajamas. Not because you're lazy. When did you get lazy? Because being on all day at work, at home, in your relationships, it's quietly drained your reserves. Staying home isn't about hiding. It's not about being lazy. It's about not having to manage anyone else, not having to be on anymore, not having to do anymore. You may notice that you're over things you used to enjoy. Your work was something you once felt proud of. Social plans now feel like obligations. Even time with your partner or kids feel heavier than it used to. It doesn't mean that you don't love them. It means your capacity is stretched thin, too thin. Connection takes energy, and you've been spending yours everywhere else but with you. Another quiet sign: you fantasize about disappearing. Not in a dramatic or alarming way, but just stepping out of the life that you're responsible for. A hotel room all to yourself, a different city, just having fun, exploring the world. A version of you that doesn't need to be needed for a while. You might feel resentment and immediately talk yourself out of it. How dare you take a trip or do something just for yourself? You think about how much you carry, and then the little voice kicks in. Well, other women have it harder. I chose this. I should be grateful. So you override your own experience. You keep going, but the resentment doesn't go away when it's dismissed. The exhaustion doesn't go away either. It just settles deeper. Rest doesn't seem to reach you anymore. Maybe you sleep, but you don't feel restored. Or you take time off, slow down for a day, and still wake up with that heavy behind the eyes exhaustion. Because it's not about needing a nap. It's about carrying sustained responsibility without any relief. Another sign, your thinking feels slower than it used to. You second guess decisions you once made easily. Your words do not come out of your mouth properly. It's like your brain is running a little behind. You feel foggy. You worry you're losing your edge. You're not. This is just what happens when a sharp, capable mind is on overload for too long. It's burnout. Your patience is thinner. Your guilt is louder. You snap over little things at home, maybe even at work, and then you judge yourself harshly for it. It's an endless cycle. But you're not becoming someone you don't recognize. You're just exhausted. You may also start quietly letting things go. The house doesn't meet your old standards. You stop fighting to keep everything running so smoothly. Mail stacks up, not because you don't care, but because perfection costs energy and you don't have it. And finally, you keep trying to fix yourself. You keep trying to optimize in the hopes that you'll improve yourself. New routines, new productivity systems, new wellness protocols, same fatigue, because the issue isn't your discipline. It's the volume of demands that you've been sustaining for years. And at some point, a realization begins to surface that the life you've built through strength and success may now require a different way of living if you want it to remain sustainable. It is a harsh truth. But if any of this sounds like you, you're not alone. I hear this from women all of the time. Sometimes it is cased in sarcasm, in resentment, in hopelessness, sometimes in humor. The good news is that nothing is wrong with you. Something's wrong with the pace and the expectations. That little voice inside is right. It's not sustainable. Your system is alerting you that something is wrong. And this is exactly where clarity and opportunity begins. It's permission to tell the truth about what's really happening inside you and what could be happening for you. So why do we even do this to ourselves? There comes the guilt again, the self-blame. Midlife women, especially moms and career climbers, are trained to break down quietly. Society, in fact, glorifies the woman who does it all. It's expected of us, and we are rewarded for it. Well, at least we get to keep our status as not crazy, not a bitch, not a gold digger, because not only are we making the career happen, being successful, but we're also parents and homemakers and holders of the emotional load. But speak up and expect more, and well, can't guarantee that you won't be called crazy. So we learn something dangerous. We learn to translate our pain into performance, to keep going. We ignore our inner alarm bells. We tolerate a lot more bullshit than we should too. A breakdown might be the most honest thing that you've done in years, because it's the first time your body's telling the truth louder than your calendar, than your responsibilities. And as your inner voice gets louder and louder inside you, the physical symptoms often get worse too. We experience psychosomatic symptoms, fatigue, anxiety, tears, withdrawal, that starts contradicting our ability to continue to produce these results. And here's another reframe that most women need to hear. A midlife crisis isn't you losing it. It's you outgrowing the life you've built and that you chose. And that's a good thing. It's normal. Sometimes the crisis comes down to one terrifying question that many of us are too afraid to ask ourselves. If I stop proving that I'm worthy, who am I? That question can feel like free fall, but it's also the doorway to change. If you recognized yourself in any of those signs, it's not something to just push past or ignore. It's information worth listening to. This is why I created the Bold Life Clarity Map to help women get what's swirling in their head out onto paper so that clarity can replace that confusion about why you're feeling this way. Find the link in the show notes. So let's just see that you do recognize yourself here. You feel like you're losing it. You're in a quiet breakdown. What do you do next? Millions of women are opening up to the realization that something's got to give. Something needs to change. But what? Where do you start? When you're on a speeding train going in one direction, it's really hard to just jump off and start moving in another direction. But that's exactly what most women do. They skip over the hard part. They start to feel the internal breakdown, start rushing from one idea to the next, moving straight to action or trying to reinvent themselves, coming up with a productivity plan instead of pausing. Clarity doesn't come without pausing, interpretation of what is really going on, thinking through strategy, working on an identity shift to get you from stuck to where you want to go next. That's why phase 1 of the Bold Life method starts with clarity and reset. It's not doing more, but it's seeing clearly. It's a comprehensive program that I've put together in the Bold Life where I work one-on-one with women who are ready to get unstuck, make a decision, strategize, and go for results. There are a few things that you can do right now, though, to start getting clarity on a new direction for life. These things happen before the decision. And in my opinion, getting to the decision to make a change is the hardest part. Are you ready? Step 1, stop calling it nothing. The fastest way to stay stuck is to minimize. If you keep making excuses, keep saying, oh, well, it's not that bad, you'll keep living a life that feels not that bad. Admit to yourself instead, something is happening in me. Something is changing. Something needs to change. And it matters. When this happened to me, I was feeling exhausted and defeated by this constant pressure to perform. All of the work that had to be done at home, at work, was overwhelming. And then I was self-blaming for setting myself up with that life in the first place, for having it so much better than other people. Telling myself it's my fault for taking on more than I can handle. It's my fault for putting myself in this situation. But after going round and round with myself in this negative mental loop, I realized that my dissatisfaction was not going away. It was not going away. I admitted that I wasn't happy with the way things were going. And I admitted that nobody else was going to come in and fix it for me. Admitting that to myself, that life needed to change, was step 1. So stop lying to yourself about how you're feeling and admit it. That's all you have to do. Step 2, separate the facts about your circumstances from the stories that you're telling yourself about it. Here's a simple clarity lens. You've been telling yourself that you have to do this, you have to do it all. You can't choose a different path. You're simply stuck, right? But what is objectively true about that versus a story that you're creating about your life? Here's an example. When it comes to your job, maybe you feel like you can't quit. You don't want to stay in the job, but you can't quit because you need the money or you won't find another one. Maybe you think it's too late to change careers, or you just don't know how to break away from what you already know and are comfortable with. In other words, your belief is that it's not possible to make a move, but it is possible. because plenty of people do it every day. So let's examine those thoughts. Fact versus story. What about your truth is objectively true? You have a job that you speak of, sure. But is the rest true? Or is it a story that you've built around it to keep yourself from taking action, to creating change for yourself? Is it really true that you won't ever find a better job, that you can't make money doing something that you love? Is it really too late to change careers? No, those are just stories you're telling yourself about how you do or don't believe in yourself. Next, the feelings that come up. You repeat these stories over and over to yourself, and what feeling comes up? Defeat? Stuckness? Hopelessness? Fear? Then, because you feel stuck, hopeless, or fearful, what actions do you take? Or what non-actions do you take, I should say? You probably keep repeating the negative loop of self-defeating self-talk, maintaining the status quo, feeling bad, and doing nothing to change it. I know that that is what I've done in the past. So the result here with this thought pattern is that nothing changes. You create a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's more of the same. It's overwhelm, burnout, resentment, people-pleasing, anxiety, fear of change, guilt, round and round. If you want new results, you have to think in a new way that will create new possibilities for yourself in your life. So many of us struggle with separating the facts of our circumstances versus this negative self-talk and defeating stories that we continue to repeat. You are not alone. This is how the world stays stuck. But at any moment, you can change up your thoughts and change your life. It's really that simple. You can experience hope and new possibilities. You don't need more time to think about it, more signs of safety that it might work out to get started. You just need a clearer lens to see what's possible and how your thoughts are making you stand in your own way. Step 3, evaluate the cost of your current life. And this is where we think about honestly where we're at and what it will look like in the future if we maintain this reality. You have one life, one opportunity. You can love it, you can hate it, it can be good or it can be great. So ask yourself a few questions. What is the version of my life that I'm living today costing me? What am I giving up? What am I trading away to keep being the strong one, the productive one, the reliable one? What part of me is being sacrificed to keep everyone else comfortable, to keep myself comfortable? Now, if in 10 years I'm living this same version of this same life, how will I feel about it? And if I don't feel good about it, what would I rather be doing in 10 years? Many women experience an awakening around relationships that are sucking the life out of them. After repeating toxic cycles of arguing, unhappiness, toxicity, they start to find clarity when they ask the tough questions about the life of peace that they're missing out on. When they finally get tired enough to repeat the same toxic abuse cycles, they find a way to leave. They carve a path out to move on to their own happiness. It has to get to a point where they start asking themselves, what will this life look like if it continues in 10 years, in 20 years? And only when the pain is worse than the status quo do they create change for themselves. I've done this in relationships. It took me longer than I'd like to get clarity on the cost of staying in an unhappy situation. I thought about what it would be like to still be having the same disagreements and interactions in 10 years. Oh my gosh, that was enough for me to make a quick change. I realized I don't want to live this way. Life is too short. But first, I had to get clear on what was not working, what I didn't want to allow in my life any longer. And I had to allow myself to own the feelings about it, the identity that would have to shift. I had to give myself permission to explore other options and move on from that identity and life image that I had created for myself. This is the type of work I do in the bold life. It's not surface level mindset shifts, but it is honest clarity, and it leads to sustainable change once you make the decision, start doing the work, and owning the identity changes that are necessary to transform yourself. Because insight alone does not move your life forward. All of the rest of those things does. Step 4, choose one reset. Small, specific, and non-negotiable. For today, you don't have to figure it all out, but just take a short step towards freedom in whatever area it is that you're experiencing a quiet breakdown. Start by writing down all of the things that you're dissatisfied in your life or in that area of your life, and do it honestly. I say honestly because many women don't even feel like they can tell the truth when they're writing down their feelings privately. I know this because I've done it. I've been journaling and have noticed myself editing my thoughts. How very odd. It's very odd, but it's a normal occurrence. We all do it. We have to get honest with ourselves. What is the one thing that you can stop, start, fix, or quit doing today that would make you a lot happier? Maybe it's a rough conversation that needs to be had. Quitting a commitment that you can't stand. Saying no to something that protects your nervous system. Walking away. I remember when I was teaching public school, and I just wasn't happy with the scenario. I was telling myself all sorts of reasons that I couldn't change careers, though. I was teaching at a great school district. I saw myself being a teacher forever. And I didn't have the experience to move into another industry, or so I thought. And most of all, as a teacher, I wanted to make a difference with our future adults, even if it was hurting my pocketbook, was killing my spirit, my energy levels. I had my own baby boy and didn't have enough time and energy to focus on him. Teaching had become my whole story. And who would I be without that story? I had to go through that identity shift. I had to get real with myself to begin the process of making a change. And the boldest truth I found was that life doesn't require you to become a martyr for what other people need and want from you. I decided I didn't want to be a martyr, making not enough money for the world of work that I was doing. I decided I wanted more for myself. You don't need to please anyone but you and your future self, because life is meant to be lived well, and you are meant to be happy. And if you're not happy, even if you think you should be happy, make a change. If you're ready to stop white-knuckling your way through this season and want guidance as you step into your next chapter, or you figure out how to get to a decision on the next chapter, the Bold Life Method, my new program, was built for this exact moment. It's one-on-one coaching where we work to get you unstuck, make decisions, come up with a strategy, and go through the identity shifts needed for you to succeed and achieve different results. You don't have to decide anything about your life today, but just know support exists to help you break through when you decide you're ready. Dear Bold One, what if you gave yourself permission to find relief from the stories, from the limits that you've been telling yourself about yourself? Permission to leave behind the parts of your life that no longer fit and, frankly, you're sick of. If you can, pause for a moment, put a hand on your chest, ask yourself gently and honestly, where am I pretending I'm okay? What do I want to be done with? What am I tolerating? What am I afraid will happen if I admit I'm not happy? What do I know quietly that I keep talking myself out of? What does that little gut instinct tell you that you're ignoring? And what would it look like to support myself the way I support everyone else? How could I have my own back? Let the answers be messy. Messy is real. And real is where clarity and decision begins. If you enjoyed today's episode, head over to theboldlife.coach for more resources, join our community, and start living your boldest life today.